Cheers. How you doing? Well, I'm here to share a quick video because somebody might need to hear this. Yeah, I had told you guys last week, if you received or listened to any video, whatever video that was in, if you caught that video, I had a soul aspect, a large soul aspect return last week. I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday. And when I had my Akashic Records reading, that was confirmed of everything I already know, full for on the timer. And it was pretty gentle and pretty light. But remember, when these soul fragments or soul aspects return, depending on the size of them, you might not notice anything. You might have a little bit of integration or a lot of integration or somewhere in the middle. So it does need to reintegrate into this present moment, into this now. My Akashic record reader also informed me that it was like a massive upgrade with this soul aspect that had been apart for many lifetimes. Okay, I already kind of knew this. This is not that's why I figured I had a really good sense of knowing what this was when it happened. He said he said it was like you went from a clink, 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 clink computer. As I look up, it's going to be 144, like a clink, 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 clink type computer system, operating system, to a quantum operating system. But you have to allow for integration. So it's like the soul aspect returns. It's got to get used to human form, this dense physical reality again. So there's integration times. And again, what happened a few days later is my back kind of seized up and intercostal muscles went on spasm. I've been on full rest. I've not even gone for walks. I'm hoping I can do some movement today. Even though it's better, it's way better, but it's still there. And then this morning, so I did some meditations last night, and in my meditations, and you might find this in your meditations where you have like an electrical shock in a body part. Sometimes it's the legs, the arms, sometimes it's the whole body. That's a bit of an upgrade, or a moment where your team can come in and do a little tuning of the frequencies and energies where they know that you're ready to receive a little bit more of a dial up. I say, imagine, the best way as I can imagine is like you have a big amp dial, to an amplifier, and they're tuning it up. So these little shocks and things like that where you literally go into a full shock or something. Mine, I had one in the leg last night. I've had these on and off. Very aware of what they are now. A full body one, maybe just an arm or a leg, whatever it is. If you know, great. I know what is taking place. And meditation was I dropped in pretty quick and I left. I don't know where I went. And woke up in the middle of the night, didn't go back to sleep right away as I was getting ready to go back to sleep. And again, I think this was between 3 on the timer. Between 3 and 4 if I had to guess. Because sometimes time gets weird, and when these things happen, it's in no time and no space. It's really hard to describe, and I'm going to give you the best explanation I can, because I feel like the more people are waking up and the more their bodies are getting activated and elevated and their soul aspects are returning, you're going to probably, or have been feeling, these electrical shocks and bolts, voltage type energies coming in. Now, use your discernment. I've been energetically attacked at the end of last year. Completely different. What took place did not feel dark, nefarious, negative. I knew it was happening. The one that happened at between 3 and 4 a.m. was more of annoyance. Yes. My team's laughing at me right now. I'm laughing at me because I was annoyed when I realized what the fuck was going on. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, come on. I do the roll check. I do the check when something happens like this big. This was big. This was big. And again, it was connected to the soul aspect that returned last week. So we're almost a full week in, if you want to go by linear time, when that happened. 455 on the timer. Oh my gosh. So, more coffee. So again, trying to find human words to explain what happened, but I really feel that somebody's need to hear this so that you don't freak out. And when you go into this state, the best things to do is be aware of fear if it comes up, and then go down your mental list, because sometimes you get like you're in almost a paralytic state. You're telepathically communicating. I feel like I was trying to communicate. I had a little more, I don't know if I felt like it was both. Like I was trying to speak to my team verbally, but it was also very telepathic. So what happened is, again, it usually happens, like I said, meditation where I'm on my back, but if I'm on my right side facing the left, because they come in from behind. So that's not uncommon for me. And again, I think that's not uncommon. Usually it comes from the top down and from back. I don't know how often it comes from the side or the front. For me, it's either it comes straight down my pillar or from the back of my pillar. And what happened is I could feel this. I could feel them in my room. I could feel them. I think I heard something first, maybe a noise, like a bump, and my neighbor moved out. And I used to have a really loud neighbor who worked at the hospital. He was up in the middle of the night, but he moved out this weekend. So I heard something and I'm like, well, he's not here, so I know it's not them. And then you energetically feel your team. You can feel your team. And I'm getting full body confirmation. I'm getting full body truth bumps, whatever, full body chills. So my team came, I could feel them. The room felt like it was really full. And I'm just like, okay, what's going on? All right, so I'm just laying there breathing, trying to go back to sleep, whatever. Because your team's there for observation, for assistance, for comfort, whatever. And I allow my team of light and love to be around me as much as possible. I call them all the time. So it doesn't bother me. If they're there, they're there. If they're not, whatever. As I feel like I'm drifting off or I'm in this liminal space, I can feel this full body, and kind of like when the soul aspect returned, it was like this whole body. It was like my entire body, like even almost outside of my field, but inside. So it was full body outside and inside. It was like I've felt more electrocuted before, or it feels like more electricity. Like if you see someone getting electrocuted like by lightning, if you were to have a visual, it's like kind of going through the system. This felt more like different. Felt like all of my cells lit up from the inside out and from the outside in. You know, if there's cells, which I don't know what's in my energetic field, all at once. So this massive like, and I could like in my mind's eye, I can like, I go to the amp like, and I can feel this, and it's this intense, just everything, everywhere, in between, outside, inside was just amplifying, and just, it was intense. I'm not gonna bullshit. And then so I go, you know, I usually don't drop into fear, but if there's any fear, I'm aware of it pretty quickly, even in that in-between state. And I'm like, all right, what the fuck? You know, I said, if there's anyone in this space, and there's not, but I like just to do the rundown. I said, if there's anyone in this space that is not of love and life, that's not a part of my team members, you need to get the fuck out. Called source energy, and I said, get the fuck out. But you know, that's just like again, I just do it from a place of authority and not from fear. And it's just a rundown for me, because I have been energetically attacked in different ways in that in-between space before and tossed around like I was in a washing machine energetically. I should maybe do a longer video. This one's actually quite long because we're like trying to get to the point. If you're here, I know you're resonating, but again, it's just information, and everyone's experiencing this differently, and that there's going to be a massive uptake in this. That's why I think I'm really I love sharing this stuff. And I think it's important. It's educational. It's same, but different. So it came in, and it felt like it was forever. And I'm like having this communication when I'm aware of like, it came in gently, and it was like, wah! Like if I was awake, I was like, wah! And I'm like intense, and I'm thinking, what the fuck is going on? In the moment, you don't know what the fuck's going on, because you're like out of it. You know, that's the best way to you're in a state where your mind is basically shut off. And I'm like, okay, team, like this, like I was like annoyed. I'm gonna be honest, I was fucking annoyed. And again, your team is not going to give anything to you or assist you in a specific way. They're not going to give you any more than you can handle it, but they might give you like right to that edge. And they know when I ask for shit, I can take the shit right to the edge. That's just my soul personality. But when I'm like in this and it's really intense and it feels like it's going on forever, at some point I'm like, yo, can we like dial it down a little bit? Like just a little bit. And I'm breathing. I'm aware. I'm having this communication with my team members. It felt like forever, but I don't think it lasted forever. And so I'm having this communication and you could feel the intensity dial back a little bit. And then it completely turned, like, so it went all the way back down. And then I was like, and then I fell asleep. And I felt like completely banged up this morning. And I'm like, oh, okay, what just happened? So I know what happened. Trying to find the human words. You know, I use my pendulum to divinate. And I'm like, just to double check. Was this a negative? No. Was this, yes. Was this associated with, basically because the soul aspect comes into the field and has to get used to the human body and completely comes in and infuses. So it's again like the cells, everything, mitochondria, cells, DNA, like everything felt like it lit up from the inside out and the outside in. That's the best way I can describe it. I'm not a very visual person and I'm trying to give an example, but nothing is coming to mind except for if you were energetically to see cells, trillions of your cells light up like these little universes all over inside of you, and then whatever's in the field also lighting up all at once as the soul is coming in and locking into place. So the soul aspect was basically docking. Thank you, that was an interesting one, team. Docking, as I get goosebumps, docking into place. So it returned last week, integrating with the rest, with the being still in the breath work and being focused in the here and now, as I pretty much am all the time, and allowing things to take place naturally, not forcing it. Breath work, meditation, nourishment, movement, all of the stuff. It literally, I would say that docked in. That aspect is now docked in, and it was a powerful, like you said, my Akashic reader said you went from a clink, 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 clink type of an operating system to a quantum computer. I'm going to see if I can find some visuals just to have fun with that, and maybe share that if I can find some when I have time. But it literally was like docked in. So now that soul aspect is back and returned and is docked in. It's the best way I can put it. So you might be experiencing this. And I've called many soul fragmentations, especially when you've had a lot of childhood trauma. And especially if you've had a lot of abuse as a child, especially a little person, your psyche fragments. And there's a reason that the enemy does that, to break the psyche apart. And then when you start awakening and healing, those pieces come back. And sometimes they come back in small pieces, or, you know, you have that conversation with your little child. And I had this conversation yesterday. It's like you sit with that little person and you're like, you're safe, you're held, you're protected, no one's gonna ever hurt you again, and you're loved. And you integrate them, and basically it's place work and healing, and you hug them and you literally absorb those aspects, those healed now, back into self. So that's part of what I've used, and I work with people as helping to heal the inner child. But the bigger ones that may have fragmented from past lives, whether they were past lives from here or other lifetimes that were off this planet, you know, anywhere, there, and everywhere, because my soul's been there, here, there, and everywhere. Very ancient soul here, 1344 on the timer. So it's going to feel different for everyone, but I wanted to share my experience because I feel it's valid for other people to hear, because you might feel these electrical bolts or shocks, and you're like, what the fuck just happened? And yes, if you feel like you need to make sure medically, I'm just going to say that if there's nothing wrong, more than likely you're getting upgraded and activated and downloaded. So it's, again, it can happen during downloads, activations, upgrades, reintegrations, everything above. So when I asked, I got, yes, it was a docking, a reconnection, but it was also another upgrade, it's like activating and upgrading again. And now we have to do, you know, follow the body and the soul if there's integration. That sometimes you can integrate that stuff really quick. Sometimes it takes 72 hours. Sometimes it takes 24 hours. Sometimes it takes a week. It takes as long as it's going to take. The kiddo said this last year. I wrote this down at the beginning of my awakening. I said something verbally, and he said, Mom, it'll take as long as it takes. I have no idea what I said. I will never forget that came out of his mouth, because I wrote it down, and I will never forget it. 1444. It'll take as long as it takes. The human, the ego, the mind wants it to happen now. The soul knows when. So when you start calling things back or you receive activations or downloads, sometimes they're out in your field. You're not ready to fully receive that, but it's there. And it'll return, it'll activate, it'll trigger, it'll awaken in perfect timing, according to what your soul is ready for. So if you haven't cleared space, let's say AKA trauma, and there's no room for these to come in, they won't. They'll be there because they're yours, they're part of your journey. But when you start clearing, now things there's space now for the light to return, for the aspects to return, for the frequency, the energy, the upgrades, and all of that to return. I hope that makes sense, okay? So please, share your experiences of whatever you had, because the more we interact with things like this, you make this normal. This is normal. This is part of the ascension process, the part of us healing ourselves individually and collectively, and our soul aspects that have been fragmented. Let me tell you, everyone's got their soul's been, in their psyche's been fragmented. If not from this lifetime, other lifetimes. And those things are now having the ability to return, because you are going to require, Source is saying you're going to require those gifts, those abilities, those skills, that knowledge, that wisdom, that magic for what we are going to be stepping as we are continuing to step forward into this transition. All right. So please share. You're not weird, I promise you. We're all experiencing this in our own unique way. And the more we share our stories, even the ugly, ugly, dark shit, to the blissful highs and everything in between, it gives other people permission to feel safe and seen and known and feel accepted. They don't feel weird. Let me tell you, there's more weirdos. I'd rather be in the corner of the weirdos than the normies all day, any day. You know, I'd rather be off with the people talking about the woo-woo, walking in nature, dancing under the moon naked, whatever the fuck it is. I want to be in that camp. That's that camp. I don't want to be in this robotic 9 to 5. I'm going to follow the leader. I'm going to do what the program tells me what to do. No. My soul knew that a long fucking time ago. Took me a little while and it came along in stages, but here we are. So we're just giving each other permission to talk about this as my left ear goes, again, that's just frequency tune up in the clear audience. Maybe a download, maybe your team just, there's many things that can be. It's not one thing. And it's different for everyone. So just, again, share your information. Share that out into the world. Post that on Facebook or TikTok or YouTube or whatever your platform is, Instagram, because other people need to hear this stuff. They also need to hear this because then they'll know that there's other people out there, right? We're all out here. And I know it feels so lonely sometimes where you just feel like, oh my God, there's like nobody I can talk to. There's nobody I can sit with. There's no one I can share these stories with. That's why one of many reasons why we've been creating this content, but especially for the deep inner personal stories, the ones that we've always been afraid to share. And the more we talk about it, the more we normalize it, especially when it comes to abuse and childhood molestation and sexual abuse. I'm going to say the words. Okay? The more you now when I say normalize that, the more you're open about these things, you give other people permission to talk about it and you don't make it such a taboo thing. Because unfortunately, more than not, there are more people that have not been in some type of position that have been perpetrated against. Okay? All right. So, I love you from the bottom of my heart to yours. You're all good. Please comment, please share, please message if you have any questions or comments. I'm always here to help where I can. All right, I love you. See you soon. Bye.